All right. Hey, hey, hey. Goodness to you, Sporty King. And you know, I say goodness because I don't know whether you're watching morning, afternoon, or evening. But I always like to say, isn't it great to have good in front of your salutation? Hey, look, I'm on the road this weekend. So bring you the broadcast live. But let me know where you're coming in from, even if you're watching the video. I'm on just a minute, and I got like a minute and a half to go for today's message. So you still got time to go get yourself something to drink or whatever, and then close out a program. So don't, I'd like to do that. I call it a tech tip to remind people who are presenting, excuse me, to always, it's in fact, you know what, not just presenting, it's just like, you know, how when you're giving a party or something and you, or even when you're presenting live and you say, well, you know, let's wait for more people to get here. No. As a presenter, but also speaking tip, you have to learn how to control your audience. You control the audience by controlling yourself. So I set the standard, you know, I say, no, let it be known, Sporty King starts on time. That's what's called training your audience. And they can say, hey, what's going on, Vic? Oh, I got a slow connection here too, by the way. So yes, you get to recognize that that's what you got to do, is make it known that you start on time. And that's what's called training your audience. Got less than 30 seconds to go with my slow audio that's happening here. You say, all good. Yeah, brother. And I'm glad you're back. And, you know, such a good blessing to hear, about your mother coming home and everything. Vic, I know you've been through a lot, man, but hey, we all have. Welcome the new chapter, and welcome the new testimony. Meanwhile, I am seeing that this thing is not advancing, so I hope it works when it's time for my broadcast. Okay, let's see what happens here. Was happening, and it wasn't cooperating properly. But whew, I'm back. I am definitely back, and let's get this thing back up here. There we go. All right. Yeah, look at the comments y'all missed from Vic. Okay, he said yes. Said yes, and he said it went black, and it did. It did, but it came back. All right, so we back now. Woo, that was a close call. But yeah, like I say, you always got to let technology know who's in charge. And for some reason, yeah, it was a simple case of needing to just to refresh the page, which I was able to do. And so it went black, but we're back. Oh, that rhymes, black, but we're back. Okay, so anyway, hey, welcome. Welcome to Gift Friday. How many times have we heard somebody say TGIF? Thank God it's Friday. Well, I say, what allure does Friday have to the person who took their last breath on Thursday, or any day before that, for that matter? Therefore, instead of using TGIF, thank God it's Friday, I use TGIT, not thank God it's Thursday. Ooh, okay. Ooh, I went a little too fast. So instead of I learned the message that I learned through Psalm 92 and 2, and that is, it is good to proclaim your unfailing love in the morning, in the evening. And that's why I almost skipped to this slide. Instead of using TGIF, thank God it's Friday, I use TGIT, not thank God it's Thursday, but thank God it's today. And then TGIT, thank God it's tonight. And that allows me to add another scriptural connection to it, and that's from Matthew 6:34. So don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Thank God it's tonight. Today's trouble is enough for today. Thank God it's today. Yes, darkness always precedes the light. So that's let's consider another use therefore for TGIF. And that's trusting God is free. There's that darkness preceding the light. Trusting God is free. Think about what it costs for you to be blessed with actually the greatest gift of every day. Waking up doesn't cost you a dime, but that still allows us to realize that when we take the T in TGIF and move it from the front to the end, what we do is that we find what we really must give God thanks for, and that is for today. Gift Friday, G-I-F-T. God is for today. This is the online sharing of one of my poetic messages or inspirational messages that will help you inspire audiences online or in person or in spirit. Because how often do we need to recognize that we have to inspire ourselves in order to be an inspiration to others? How often do we realize that we have to bless ourselves so that we can continue to be a blessing to those who need us? Put yourself in the front. Take care of you so that you can take care of those around you. Believe me, you'll love it. So anyway, after I read my poem or inspiration, then I always load it onto Facebook or LinkedIn and as a PNG. Yeah. Okay. And so that you can have it in case you'd like to use it or share it as well. The reason I hesitated because I used to do PDF. The PDFs, no, PNGs work a lot better with the down. Okay. So after the broadcast, I'll get that up there. All right. So always as you come in, let me know where you're coming in from again, even if you're on the video. But today's gift is actually something that I've heard several times. And that is, I've heard it actually said, and that is not to allow, there we go, not to allow a man-made calendar to control your celebration of the ones you love and the moments in life. And one thing we know for sure is that, and see how it worked out, Vic? Vic is on here. His mother just came home from the hospital, but in my commentary, I already had one thing we know for sure is that Mother's Day is not a once-a-year acknowledgement. So yes, I am partially sharing this because yesterday, August 15th, was my mother's birth date anniversary. And she always said birth date anniversary. She said you have one birthday, that's the day you're born. Everything else is the anniversary of that date. So yesterday I celebrated her birth date anniversary. And you know what? I don't really focus on how old she would have been. I celebrate how many years. Okay. And in my celebration, I compassionately pray for those who didn't have a mother for 56 years. I think about the different age groups. You know, when I think about my brothers and sisters and my nieces and nephews, you know, and that was one way I used to help, by the way, deal with my grief for my mother. And what I did is I looked at what was going on in my life at each of their ages had I lost my mother. So I had a mother longer than any of my brothers and sisters, and currently any longer than any of my nieces and nephews. So you got to find ways to put things in perspective. And that, like Vic says, that becomes the blessings. You have to recognize and realize that you're partially responsible for creating your blessing through acknowledgement. See, the blessing may be put on board, but if you don't acknowledge it, it doesn't get to do what it's supposed to do. And that's another wonderful session that we can use, okay? But anyway, so like I said, I always compassionately pray for those who didn't have a mother for 50 years. And when I meet someone who tells me that their mother is old, because my mother was 75 when she died. So when I hear them say their mother was 76, 77, 80, but, you know, but let's go right with 76. And I say, oh, wow, what I wouldn't give to have had another year with my mother. See, and that's what, and I always say, I'm jealous. That's what I do. I say, I'm jealous. what would I have given to have had another year with my mother, or whatever age their mother is now. So find ways to celebrate that may help you deal with your grief. Okay. But today I'm going to be sharing not a poem that I wrote, but an inspiration that I've seen called Chosen Angel. Once upon a time, there was a child ready to be born. So one day he asked God, "They tell me you are sending me to earth tomorrow, but how am I going to live there being so small and helpless?" God said, "Among the many angels, I chose one for you. She will be waiting for you and will take care of you." The child said, but tell me, here in heaven, I don't do anything else but sing and smile. That's enough for me to be happy." And God said, "And you will feel your angel's love and be happy." Then the child said, "And how am I going to be able to understand when people talk to me if I don't know the language that men talk?" God said, "Your angel will tell you the most beautiful and sweet words you will ever hear. And with much patience and care, your angel will teach you how to speak." And the child said, "And what am I going to do when I want to talk to you?" And God said, "Your angel will place your hands together and will teach you how to pray." The child said, "I've heard that on earth there are bad men who will protect me." And God said, "Your angel will defend you, even if it means risking its life." The child said, "But I will always be sad because I will not see you anymore." And God said, "Your angel will always talk to you about me and will teach you the way for you to come back to me, even though I will always be next to you." At that moment, there was such much peace in heaven, but voices from earth could already be heard. And the child in a hurry asked softly, "Oh God, if I'm about to leave now, please tell me my angel's name." And God said, "Your angel's name is of no importance. You will simply call her Mommy." I started out calling her Mommy. Then over the years, on the poster, these are some of the names different people called her. Mine evolved to Leah as the name I called her. Let me make this even bigger. Can I? No, I guess I can't. Okay. So, well, maybe it looks bigger than y'all. But those are some of the names that people called her. Mom. Oh, let me see. Wait, I think I can actually. There we go. Does that make it bigger? No, it doesn't make it bigger. It just took me out of the picture. That's all. Okay, but anyway, you can click on it and see some of the names the nicknames that people called her. And before she died, the name we used to call her, I used to call her, was Leah. It has nothing to do with her name. Her name was Mary Louise King, but we called her Leah, and that's just something we ended up making happen. And then I also threw that picture in there of her fine self, pre-children, I guess. And so again, that's what I do to celebrate Mommy. And so where was I? So and I could really celebrate her because I celebrated her when she was here. So that's why I celebrate all the mothers, past, present, and future. And I bless all of you who celebrate your angel. Recognize that it's always Happy Mother's Day, because Mother's Day is not a one-day man-made calendar acknowledgement. Celebrate your mother, whether she's here or not. Find a good way to celebrate. And so again, Vic, I'm glad you were here because I know how you just went through some stress hoping your mother came through, and boom, she did. That's how God does things. But all of you, remember, have a wonderful Gift Friday. Remember that God is for today. Lorenzo says, okay, well, I say I have a slow connection. Lorenzo says, my mom is 83 when she passed, September 27th. Ooh, that's one of my birth celebrations. August 27th is my birth date, and the 27th of every month, I celebrate being a month older. Find something, okay? But my quote, mothers are God's greatest invention, only superseded by a mother with wings. Blessing on mother. Amen. Thank you, Lorenzo. Thank you for that. Amen. All right. And Vic, yeah, just the memories, man. You got to have, and you have to make memories. Those of you who, if your mother's still alive, make memories. And don't, those of you who don't beat yourself up about what you didn't do. Okay. But, you know, memories don't necessarily cost a lot of money. All right. So just make the memories happen. And Vic, what you're saying, Vic, blessings to you all. Yes, happy Mother's Day to you all. And thank y'all for joining me here on Gift Friday. Have a wonderfully safe weekend, and be sure that you celebrate the ones you love beyond the man-made calendar, because the man-made calendar cannot tell you what God has planned. Love you. Peace. Oh, one thing, I'm doing my, by the way, I'm calling this my final afro. So I'm planning on cutting it for my birthday, or at least at the end of August. I'll see. That was my original plan, but hey, I've been liking my afro so much, I might not. I'll see how far it goes. Thank you, Lorenzo. You're welcome. Oh, yeah, I'll pause because I've even got a slower connection right now. But thank you, and thank you for adding those words of wisdom. I really like that. Let me put that up there again, Lorenzo. Okay. All right. Mothers are God's greatest invention, only superseded by a mother with wings. See, and now you have to think about what was just said, written and said there. God created mothers with wings. Okay. So death is a creation of God. It's a part of the deal. All right. And what you say? What about the beard, Vic? What about? Well, the beard comes and goes, you know. And I used to always just with the beard thing. I used to laugh. Like I tell my female friends, hey, we don't get to do many things, you know. So I either grow the goatee, grow the beard, go clean shaven. I've always said, yeah, that's something I can do, because I didn't, I don't do all the hair. I tried twist once, and they really worked out well. Shout out to my girl, in Chicago. Was it Zena? Uh-oh, wow. It was Andrea's daughter. Time's up, but I really enjoyed the twist. So cut afro, short hair. I'm not doing bald. I don't have a desire to do that. I don't know that everybody does. I think most guys end up being bald, and so then they go with it. So I guess that's another reason I'm doing my last afro. Why? Because I can. All right, y'all. Look. It made me think about that joke, where people touch your hair, yeah, mine is so soft. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. My father grade well, and my mother grade well, so I'm really enjoying it. So, again, just something else to celebrate. Look, I'm out of here. Y'all be safe. Have a good weekend. Peace.